This is the Sun. It is the center of our solar system, with the planets revolving around it. Please note that this animation of the solar system is not to scale or proportions, and this is only a simple illustration that will do for a simpler explanation. Now, these planets are bound in eternal motion around the Sun at different speeds, and with the passing of time, the relative position of these planets keep on changing. At no two points in time do these exact positions of planets in relation to each other repeat themselves, not in the foreseeable future at least. These planets emanate and transmit subtle stellar energies. They bring to us the forces of the galaxy and of the universe itself. As David Frawley puts it in his Self-Healing Through the Stars, Vedic astrology is the study of the subtle energies emanating from the sky upon people, plants, animals, and the earth itself. These energies influence the human body and mind on all levels. This configuration of these planets has huge effect on life on earth, and we try to analyze these effects with the help of Jyotisha. Notice the key word here is configuration. It is the configuration or arrangement of these planets in relation to earth and each other. In Jyotisha, we are mostly only concerned with angular relationships between the planets and not the linear distances between them. This configuration is ever changing, and this is what dictates what kind of effect they will have at any given instant. Hence, now our foremost task becomes to find a method to record and study the configuration of these planets. Now, what would be the best way to record and study all arrangements of these planets? After all, these planets could be anywhere in three-dimensional space. Actually, as we notice, our solar system is very flat and all the planets almost lie on the same plane. In fact, any system with many objects revolving around a common center tends to be flat. For example, the rings of Saturn are flat, or even the galaxy itself is also flat. This has to do with something called conservation of angular momentum, which we'll not go too deep into. We have to remember, however, that the solar system is not perfectly flat. The orbits of planets have some orbital tilts. For example, the Moon's orbit is tilted at about 5 degrees to the plane of the ecliptic, but the tilts are very small, and generally, for all our intents and purpose of recording this configuration of the planets, we can consider the solar system to be totally flat and all planets lie very near to the plane. This plane is called the plane of the ecliptic. This flatness of the solar system simplifies our task immensely. It changes our problem of recording the configuration in a three-dimensional space to recording the configuration in just 2 dimensions. Remember, in Jyotisha, we generally don't care much about the linear distances of the planets, and we are concerned only with the angular positions of the planets in relation to the Earth. Now, the best method to record the angular orientation of the planets is to divide the whole ecliptic plane into sectors like this, with Earth at the center. These sectors are generally divided into 12 sectors like this, which gives each sector 30 degrees. These sectors are aligned based on the prominent constellations present near the ecliptic. These constellations are Mesh, Vrishav, Mithun, Kark, Singh, Kanya, Tula, Vrishchik, Dhanu, Makar, Kumbh, Meen. These sectors are named after the constellation they are aligned to. These are what is known as Rasi in Hindi and zodiac sign in English. Any planets that lie in the sector are said to be in that zodiac sign or in that Rasi in Hindi. We have explained more about the division of ecliptic in more detail in our video called Vedic versus Western Astrology, an animated description, at the following timestamp. You don't have to watch it right now to understand this video, and you can watch it later on. Please find the link to the video in the description below. We record in which sector the planets lie and at what degree. For example, here the Sun is in Dhanu Rasi or Sagittarius at 15 degrees. Furthermore, the ecliptic is divided into 27 smaller sectors known as nakshatras. They are 13 degrees 20 minutes wide. We have an entire video related to nakshatras. The link is in the description below. Now, a birth chart is just a chart that records the planetary configuration at the time when a child was born. It is like a map that shows the relative positions of the planets in the heavens at the time of their birth. In simple terms, it is the snapshot of the heavens at the moment of birth. A birth chart is just a representation of this in a chart. There are so many ways to do this, and consequently, there are many ways a birth chart is drawn. The straightforward method is to draw a circle with all 12 sectors. We name each of the sectors and put the planets in their respective sectors. While this kind of circular chart with some modifications and additional information is used in Western astrology, in Vedic astrology we rarely use circular charts, mainly because it is not only difficult to draw curves freehand but also difficult to identify different houses. It will become apparent as we progress through the video. So the actual charts that are mostly used in Vedic astrology are just a modification of this circular chart. We convert the circular chart into a square one which contains only straight lines, which is very easy to draw freehand and is also easy to read. In northern India, we transform the chart like this. This looks pretty confusing, but it's actually very simple, as it will become apparent as we move through the video. In South India, they transform the chart like this. Although these two charts convey the exact same information, they are vastly different from each other in terms of appearance and how they represent the information. Let us know in the comments if you are interested in learning more about their specific differences. While both of these charts have their own merits, here on this channel we follow the North Indian chart. There are other local variations in the drawing of the chart styles from place to place, such as in certain eastern parts of India. But keep in mind that these variations are only in how these are drawn. The information they convey is the same. Now that we have a chart, we begin by writing the names of the rasis in the houses. Instead of writing the names, we just denote them by their corresponding number and then put the planets in their proper houses according to their rasis and write their angles. The next step is orientation. How do we orient the chart? For example, do we orient this way or like this or even like this? For this, we need to understand perhaps the most important concept in the whole of predictive astrology, called the Lagna, also known as the ascendant or the rising sign in English. Now, Lagna is a complete topic in itself and we do have a separate video on this, which you can check out now or you can check out after this video. For now, just note that, just like planets, Lagna is also situated in the chart in any of the 12 signs. We always orient the chart such that the house or bhava containing the Lagna is at the top like this, and all the other houses come in order in a counterclockwise direction. For example, this is the second house, this is the third house, and so on. The house number is not written or shown in the chart because this top center house is always the first house and all other houses come consecutively one after another in an anti-clockwise direction. The number written in the house represents the Rasi or the zodiac sign that is present in the house. For example, here the top center house has number 7 written in it. So it means this house contains Tula Rasi or zodiac sign Libra in it. But it still is the first house as it contains the Lagna. We count the houses in an anti-clockwise direction instead of the clockwise direction because the planets move in an anti-clockwise direction as seen from the northern hemisphere. With time, they progress in an anti-clockwise direction in the chart. The Lagna or ascendant represents the eastern horizon and hence the eastern direction. The 7th bhav represents the western horizon and hence the western direction. The 4th bhav represents the north direction and the 10th bhav represents the south direction. All the planets that lie between the 1st and the 7th bhav are below the eastern and western horizon, and the planets that lie between 7th and 1st house are above the eastern and western horizon. For example, by looking at this birth chart, we can say that the child was born at night because the sun is in the 3rd house, which means it was below the horizon, which means it was night time. We don't always have to orient the chart with Lagna as the first bhav though. Sometimes we orient it such that the moon is in the first bhav. This chart is called the moon chart or Chandra Kundli. Both the charts have their own importance and there are certain aspects of predictions that are made with the help of this Chandra Kundli. A birth chart, also known as a Janma Kundli, almost always refers to a Lagna Kundli. Apart from these charts, there are other kinds of charts called the divisional charts. They can be derived from the birth chart. They help study different aspects of life more minutely and in great detail. This is a topic for a different video though. In a Kundli, each of these bhavs has its own name, as well as its own significance. They reflect different aspects of life. We briefly list them for now, but we'll talk about them in detail in future videos. Thank you for watching.